with a grateful heart, give thanks to the Holy One.
Exodus 37. Bezalel made the ark of acacia wood 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. He overlaid it with pure gold, inside and outside, and made a gold molding around it. He cast 4 rings for it on its 4 feet, 2 rings on one side of it and 2 rings on its other side. He made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. He put the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark to carry it. He made a mercy seat of pure gold 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide. He made 2 cherubim of gold. He made them of hammered work at the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherub was at one end and 1 cherub at the other end. He made the cherubim at the 2 ends of the mercy seat and of one piece with it. The cherubim had their wings spread upward, covering the mercy seat with their wings and facing each other. The faces of the cherubim were turned toward the mercy seat. Then he made a table of acacia wood 2 cubits long, 1 cubit wide, and 1.5 cubits high. He overlaid it with pure gold and put a gold molding around it. He made a rim 1 handbreadth wide around it, and made a gold molding around the rim. He cast 4 gold rings for it and put the rings on the 4 corners where its 4 feet were. The rings were close to the rim as holders for the poles to carry the table. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold to carry the table. He made the utensils which were on the table, its plates, dishes, bowls, and jars out of which libations are poured. He made them of pure gold. He made the lampstand of pure gold. He made the lampstand, its base, and stem of hammered work, and its cups, calyxes, and flowers were of one piece with it. 6 branches extended from its sides, 3 branches of the lampstand from one side of it, and 3 branches of the lampstand from its other side. 3 cups shaped like almond blossoms with calyxes and flowers were on one branch, and 3 cups shaped like almond blossoms with calyxes and flowers were on the other branch, and so on for the 6 branches extending from the lampstand. On the lampstand itself there were 4 cups shaped like almond blossoms, each with their calyxes and flowers. A calyx was under the 2 branches that extended out of the stem, a calyx was under the next pair of branches that extended out of the stem, and a calyx was under the last pair of branches that extended out of the stem, and so on for the 6 branches extending from the lampstand. Their calyxes and their branches were of one piece with it, all of it was of one piece of hammered work of pure gold. He made its 7 lamps, its tongs, and its trays from pure gold. He made it and all of its furnishings from a talent of pure gold. He made the altar for burning incense of acacia wood, a square, 1 cubit long, 1 cubit wide, and 2 cubits high, with its horns of one piece with it. He overlaid it with pure gold, its top, its sides all around, and its horns, and he made a gold molding around it. He made 2 gold rings for it under its molding, on its 2 opposite sides, as holders for poles by which to carry it. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. And he made the holy anointing oil and the pure aromatic incense, the work of a perfumer.
Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One.
Exodus 38. Then he made the altar for burnt offerings of acacia wood. It was a square, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits wide, and it was 3 cubits high. He made horns on its 4 corners. Its horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with bronze. He made all the utensils for the altar, the pans, the shovels, the bowls, the forks, and the fire pans, and he made all its utensils of bronze. He made a lattice, a netting of bronze, for the altar. It was under its ledge, extending halfway up. He cast 4 rings on the 4 ends of the bronze lattice as holders for the poles. He made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with bronze. And he put the poles through rings on the sides of the altar to carry it. He made it hollow, out of boards. He made the bronze basin and its bronze base from mirrors contributed by the women who served at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Then he made the court. On the south side the hangings for the court were made of fine woven linen, 100 cubits long. He made their 20 pillars and their 20 sockets of bronze, while the hooks of the pillars and their bands were made of silver. The north side was 100 cubits long, and its 20 pillars and 20 sockets were made of bronze, and the hooks of the pillars and their bands were made of silver. For the west side there were hangings 50 cubits long with their 10 pillars and 10 sockets. The hooks of the pillars and their bands were made of silver. The east side was 50 cubits long. The hangings for one section were 15 cubits long, with their 3 pillars and 3 sockets, and also for the second section. On either side of the gate of the court were hangings of 15 cubits long with their 3 pillars and 3 sockets. All the hangings around the court were made of fine woven linen. The sockets for the pillars were made of bronze and the hooks of the pillars and their bands were made of silver. Their tops were overlaid with silver, and all the pillars of the court were banded with silver. The screen of the gate of the court was the work of an embroiderer of blue, purple, and scarlet material, and fine woven linen. The length was 20 cubits and it was 5 cubits high along its width, corresponding to the hangings of the court. Their 4 pillars and their 4 sockets were made of bronze, and their hooks were made of silver. Their tops were overlaid with silver and their bands were made of silver. All the pegs for the tent and for all around the court were made of bronze. Here is a summary of materials for the tent of meeting that was compiled at Moses' direction, the work of the descendants of Levi under the direction of Aaron the priest's son Ithamar. Now Uri's son Bezalel, grandson of Hur from the tribe of Judah, made everything that the Lord had ordered Moses to build. With him was Ahisamach's son Oholiab from the tribe of Dan, an engraver, designer, and embroiderer in blue, purple, and scarlet material, and of fine linen. All the gold that was used in the work, In all the work on the sanctuary, including the gold from the wave offering, totaled 29 talents, 730 shekels, according to the standard used in the sanctuary. The silver from those of the congregation who were recorded totaled 100 talents and 1,775 shekels, according to the standard used in the sanctuary, a beka a head. A beka is half a shekel, according to the standard used in the sanctuary, for everyone who went through the registration process from 20 years old and older. The total numbered 603,550 bekas. 100 talents of silver were used to cast the sockets for the sanctuary and the sockets for the curtain, 100 sockets for 100 talents, a talent per socket. And with 1,775 talents he made hooks for the pillars, overlaid their tops, and made bands for them. The bronze from the wave offering totaled 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. With it he made the sockets for the doorway to the tent of meeting, the bronze altar, the bronze lattice for it, all the furnishings for the altar, the sockets for all around the court, the sockets for the gate to the court, all the pegs for the sanctuary, and all the pegs for all around the court.
Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One.
Exodus 39. From the blue, purple, and scarlet material they made finely woven garments for ministering in the holy place, and they made the holy garments for Aaron, just as the Lord commanded Moses. He made the ephod out of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet material and fine woven linen. They hammered out gold sheets and cut off threads to work into the blue, purple, and scarlet material and into the fine linen, a work of skillful design. They made connecting shoulder pieces for the ephod and attached them to its two edges. The skillfully woven band that was on it was made like it, of one piece with it, of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet material and fine woven linen, just as the Lord commanded Moses. They prepared the onyx stones, engraved with the names of the sons of Israel like the engraving on a signet, and mounted them in settings of gold filigree. He put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod as stones of remembrance for the sons of Israel, just as the Lord commanded Moses. He made a breastpiece, skillfully worked, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet material and fine woven linen. They made the breastpiece square when folded double, 1 span in length and 1 span in width when folded double. They mounted on it 4 rows of stones. The first row was a row of carnelian, topaz, and emerald, the second row ruby, sapphire, and crystal, the third row jacinth, agate, and amethyst, and the fourth row beryl, onyx, and jasper. They were set in gold filigree when they were mounted. The stones corresponded to the names of the sons of Israel, 12 stones corresponding to their names, with the engraving of a signet, each with the name of one of the 12 tribes. They made chains of pure gold twisted like cords for the breastpiece. They made 2 settings of gold filigree and 2 gold rings, and they put the 2 rings on the 2 edges of the breastpiece. They put the 2 gold cords on the 2 gold rings at the edges of the breastpiece, and they attached the other 2 ends of the 2 cords to the filigree settings, and then attached them to the shoulder pieces of the ephod in front. They made 2 gold rings and attached them to the 2 edges of the breastpiece, on the side of it which is toward the inner side of the ephod. They made 2 gold rings and attached them in front, on the lower part of the 2 shoulder pieces of the ephod, close to the place where it's joined, above the skillfully woven band of the ephod. They tied the breastpiece by its rings to the rings of the ephod with a blue cord so it would rest on the skillfully woven band of the ephod, and so the breastpiece would not come loose from the ephod. He made the robe of the ephod of woven work, entirely of blue. The opening of the robe was in the middle, like the opening of a coat of mail, with a binding around the opening so it would not be torn. On the hem of the robe, they placed pomegranates made of blue, purple, and scarlet material and woven linen. They made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates, on the hem of the robe, all around between the pomegranates. There was a bell and a pomegranate, then a bell and a pomegranate, all around the hem of the robe for when the high priest ministered, just as the Lord commanded Moses. They made tunics for Aaron and his sons, woven from fine linen, the turban of fine linen, decorated head coverings of fine linen, linen undergarments of fine woven linen, and the sash of fine woven linen, woven of blue, purple, and scarlet material, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. They made the medallion for the holy crown of pure gold, and they wrote on it an inscription like the engraving on a seal, "Holy to the Lord." They fastened a blue cord to it in order to fasten it on the turban above, as the Lord had commanded Moses. All the work on the tent of meeting was completed, and the Israelis had crafted it according to everything that the Lord had commanded Moses, as they should have. They brought to Moses the tent, all its furnishings, its clasps, its boards, its bars, its pillars, its sockets, the covering of ram skins dyed red, the covering of dolphin skins, the curtain, the ark of the testimony and its poles, the mercy seat, the table, and all its utensils, the bread of the presence, the lampstand of pure gold, its lamps, with the lamps in order, its furnishings, its oil for lighting, the altar of gold, anointing oil, aromatic incense, the screen for the doorway to the tent, the bronze altar and the bronze lattice for it, its poles, all its furnishings, the basin and its base, the hangings for the court, its pillars, its sockets, the screen for the gate of the court, its cords, its pegs, all the furnishings for the service of the tent, for the tent of meeting, the woven garments for Aaron the priest for ministering in the holy place, and the garments for his sons for serving as priests. The Israelis had done all the work according to all that the Lord had commanded Moses. Moses blessed them when he saw all the work and that they had completed it. They had done it just as the Lord had commanded.
Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks.
Exodus 40. The Lord spoke to Moses, "On the first day of the first month you are to set up the tent of meeting. You are to put the ark of the testimony there, and screen off the ark with the curtain. You are to bring in the table and properly arrange what goes on it. Then you are to bring in the lampstand and set up its lamps. You are to put the golden altar for incense in front of the ark of the testimony and then set up the screen for the doorway to the tent. You are to put the altar for burnt offerings in front of the doorway of the tent of meeting. You are to put the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar and put water in it. You are to set up the court all around, and hang up the screen for the gate of the court. You are to take the anointing oil and anoint the tent and all that is in it. You are to consecrate it and all its furnishings, and it will be holy. You are to anoint the altar for burnt offerings and all its utensils. You are to consecrate the altar, and the altar will be most holy. You are to anoint the basin and its base and consecrate it. Then you are to bring Aaron and his sons to the doorway of the tent of meeting, and wash them with water. You are to clothe Aaron with the holy garments, you are to anoint him, and consecrate him so he may serve me as priest. You are to bring his sons and clothe them with tunics. You are to anoint them just as you anointed their fathers so they may serve me as priests. Their anointing is to qualify them to belong to a perpetual priesthood from generation to generation. Moses did everything that the Lord had commanded him, so he did. And so in the first month of the second year, on the first day of the month, the tent was set up. Moses set up the tent. He installed its sockets and set its boards in place. He inserted its bars and set up its pillars. He spread the tent over the tent and put the covering of the tent on top of it, just as the Lord had commanded him. Then he took the testimony, put it into the ark, and placed the poles on the ark. He then put the mercy seat on top of the ark. He brought the ark into the tent, set up the curtain, and screened off the ark of the testimony, just as the Lord had commanded him. He put the table in the tent of meeting, on the north side of the tent, outside the curtain, and properly arranged the bread on it in the Lord's presence, just as the Lord had commanded him. Then he put the lampstand in the tent of meeting, opposite the table on the south side of the tent, and set up the lamps in the Lord's presence, just as the Lord had commanded him. He put the golden altar in the tent of meeting in front of the curtain and burned aromatic incense on it, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. He set up the screen for the doorway of the tent. He put the altar for burnt offerings at the doorway of the tent of meeting, and offered the burnt offering and the grain offering on it, just as the Lord had commanded him. He put the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it for washing. Moses, Aaron, and his sons washed their hands and feet from it. When they entered the tent of meeting and approached the altar, they washed, just as the Lord had commanded him. He set up the court all around the tent and the altar, and hung up the screen for the gate of the court. And so Moses finished the work. The cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tent. Moses was not able to enter the tent of meeting because the cloud had settled on it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tent. Whenever the cloud was lifted up from the tent, the Israelis would set out on their journey, but if the cloud was not lifted up, they would not set out until it was lifted up, since the cloud of the Lord was over the tent by day, and the fire was in it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel in all their journeys.
Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. We give thanks to